Music critic Matt Weiner later summed it up perfectly when he described each of Rick's songs as an amusing, enthralling story that lasted from the first groove to the last. Within only a few years, Slick Rick had gone from an immigrant kid struggling to fit in into a new country to one of the biggest stars in hip-hop. The sold-out shows, the massive gold chains, the success, it seemed like he had finally made it. Unfortunately, that success would soon come with a price. By the end of the 1980s, Slick Rick was living the kind of life most young rappers could only dream about. The Great Adventures of Slick Rick had sold more than 500,000 copies, his songs were playing across the country, and he was performing in front of thousands of fans night after night. The kid who had once struggled to fit in after moving from England had officially become one of hip-hop's biggest stars. But with fame came something he had never experienced before: fear. The bigger Rick's name became, the more he found himself constantly looking over his shoulder. Expensive jewelry, growing popularity, and life in New York made him increasingly paranoid. Eventually, he reached a point where he no longer felt comfortable leaving home without a gun. His mother, Veronica, hated that idea. In 1989, hoping to keep her son safe, she came up with what seemed like the perfect solution. She suggested that Rick should hire his cousin, Mark Plummer, as his personal bodyguard for the upcoming summer tour alongside LL Cool J, Big Daddy Kane, and several other major artists. On paper, it sounded like a great idea. Instead, it became the biggest mistake of Rick's life. Mark had recently arrived in New York from Jamaica. According to Walters, however, his cousin wasn't interested in working security. He wanted easy money and drug connections, not work. At first, everything seemed manageable. Rick paid Mark $500 a week to travel with him and provide security. However, it didn't take long before the complaints started. Mark insisted he deserved more money. Rick tried explaining that most of the income from the Great Adventures of Slick Rick had already been invested into real estate, leaving him with little cash available at the moment. Still wanting to help his cousin, Rick handed him $3,000, gave him a van, and essentially told him to relax until his next album was finished. For most people, that would have been more than enough. But for Mark, instead of backing off, he began demanding even more money. He even started pressuring Rick's mother, the same woman who had helped him to get the job in the first place, for cash. Before long, the situation spiraled